This is episode number 72 with Dr. Jodi Walker. Hello everyone, I'm Julian Placino, and welcome to the Pathways to Success podcast, where I interview experts on leadership, personal development, business, health and fitness, and many other topics to help you find your unique pathway to success. Having a deep recruiting background, I leverage my ability to attract top performers and conduct in-depth interviews to uncover the secrets to success from a highly diverse group of experts, then share these lessons to help you find your unique pathway to success. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you soon on the Pathways to Success. This episode is brought to you by CompeteEveryday.com, a global lifestyle brand that provides competitors everywhere the positive motivation to take on their greatest obstacles and compete for their life. Now, this is a very unique sponsor because when you look at their products, they're kind of this perfect blend of motivational messaging and high-quality fitness and lifestyle apparel. So they have t-shirts, hoodies, joggers, tank tops, shorts for men and women that display inspiring messaging like be a difference maker, beat yesterday, raise the bar, end on empty. And my personal favorite, compete hard, dig deep, kick ass, repeat. And there's even some funny ones like their Do Not Judge Me tee, where the O is in the shape of a donut, because Jake Thompson, the owner of Compete, has a fascination with donuts. So there's something here for everyone. I highly encourage you to check them out. I'm going to spell this out for you. That's CompeteEveryday.com, CompeteEveryday.com. And if you use the code Julian, that's Julian, my name, you get 10% off your order. So make sure to check them out at CompeteEveryday.com today. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Pathways to Success podcast. And this week on the show, I'm featuring Dr. Jodi Walker, who is a professional certified life coach and trainer. She has co-authored 3 books, which include Small Town Girl, Stories of Success and Inspiration, Learning to Love Yourself, Self-Esteem for Women, and also Sink, Swim, or Float, How to Handle the Tidal Waves of Life. And on this episode, we dig deep into 3 main topics. Number 1, this idea of simple abundance, how to incorporate gratitude, simplicity, order, harmony, and beauty into your life, as well as living authentically, how to make choices that keep you on your true path, and also life transitions, how to adjust to the changing winds of your life. So lots of great information on this podcast. Episode with Dr. Jodi Walker, who is an amazing individual. Make sure to check out her books and connect with her on social. So make sure to tune in, take notes, and on to the interview. So welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Pathways to Success podcast. And in the studio today, I have Dr. Jodi Walker, who is a certified life coach and diversity trainer. She has co-authored 3 books, and in 2016 had launched a book series called Small Town Girl, Stories of Success and Inspiration. Dr. Walker has taught at all levels for 21 years, and during this time earned her counseling degree in 1999 and her doctorate in 2013. Her passions include college and career decisions, as well as helping women make successful transitions to find meaning and purpose in their lives. She's an inspiring coach and truly cares about helping others find their passion and purpose. So it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Jodi Walker. Welcome to the Pathways to Success. How are you?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to meet you. And shout out to Greg Weatherford, who created this introduction. Without him, this conversation wouldn't be possible. So shout out to Greg. Well, Dr. Jodi, let's jump into things. And one of the things, of course, that's very prevalent about your background is your experience in academia. So leading up to kind of what you're doing today, walk us through kind of your professional background.
Well, it all kind of started when I was in high school. I started getting interested in nutrition and how it could impact my athletic ability. And so I ended up at Texas Tech with a bachelor's of science in nutrition. Mm-hmm. But in those years, I met a professor who saw me teaching in a classroom one day. And she said, "You know what, Jodi, you are a teacher." And I said, "I am?" And she said, "Yes." So she said, "Why don't you do a double major and get teacher education alongside your nutrition background?" So I did a double major and I became a teacher. No one in my family's a teacher. So this was a stepping out into the unknown. Mm-hmm. But as a teacher, all the kids started coming into my classroom and asking for personal advice. And so the principal actually saw this going on, and he said, now you need to be a school counselor. He said, I'm going to encourage you to go back and get your master's in counseling. So one more pivotal person stepping into my path and saying, pushing me forward. And then so I did school counseling for about 10 years. And then that same professor who had told me I was a teacher called me back and said, why don't you do a doctorate?
Wow.
And she said, I've got a job for you. You'll have a discounted tuition fees and stuff like that. And she had it all lined out for me. And I was kind of saying no at that point until I had another person say, get down there and get that PhD done. So when I was 32, when I started my doctorate. So in all of that, I was kind of in the background doing, feeling this pull to work with women. And so about 10 years ago, in a school counseling position in Tampa, Florida, a phone call came through my office. And this lady said, have you heard anything about life coaching? And I said, no, but I'm fascinated by it. Because I really want to help people move forward. I want to help them move out of whatever's keeping them stuck into abundance, into, just satisfaction, fulfillment with their career. And so it just started a whole chain effect, just ripple effect. And I ended up being a life purpose coach. And I've been doing that for 10 years.
Wow.
Alongside my academic career.
Sure.
This was part-time. I was doing it for part-time. At night and on weekends, I was coaching women. Until one day in 2013, when I finally walked across the stage with my doctorate, I let go of the academic world and stepped into the life purpose world. Ironically, my dissertation fell just in place with passion and purpose because it was about college and career preparation and finding your major in your career that you were passionate about. So my two worlds collided, my little life purpose and my academic background. They just collided right in the middle, and I've been self-employed now for 4 years.
Wow.
So it was quite a 21-year journey.
Yeah. So when you were teaching, what was the subject you were teaching?
I taught family and consumer sciences. It's what used to be called home economics.
Gotcha, yeah.
But it covered food nutrition, child development, interior design, personal development, a lot, resource management, family financial planning. Every class you could imagine fell under the umbrella of family and consumer sciences. So I was teaching all that coursework, which naturally led me into school counseling because it's personal development, right?
Yeah.
And then it transpired like these pivotal people would show up in my path and they would expose me to something, and it just collided. The two worlds collided. I finally let go. I was still part-time faculty at Collin College, and I finally said, okay, if I'm really going to be an entrepreneur and really be self-employed, I need to let go. And it was scary to let go because, as I've told you in our conversations, that you're paying your own salary once you're self-employed. You've got to find the work. You've got to make it happen. And it was a little scary to jump out there and do that.
So what was the decision-making factor, I guess? Was it something that you were planning? Was it something that you've always had a calling for? Tell me about that.
You mean stepping out from academia?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a big deal to let go of it completely. I think I wanted to put all my energy into life purpose coaching and building my business. I'd seen my parents be self-employed back in the 80s. And in fact, my mom and my sister still run the business that my dad and my mom started in the early 80s. And I saw that when I was a girl, when I was about 13 and 14, and I thought, that would be awesome to be self-employed someday, have something to call my own. But I was scared to do it because of the financial, just stepping into the unknown of what you would make and how does that work and learning the whole world of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But I'd always down deep wanted to do it.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what are some of the most important entrepreneur lessons that you've learned in the past 4 years?
Oh my gosh. Have a plan.
Yeah.
Book 3, 4, 6 months out. Have your bookings way out. Have more than one income stream. I work out of 4 or 5 boxes of things. So that's like coaching, speaking, writing. I'm training. I train coaches. I do a life plan where a woman comes to my home and spends 2 days with me, and I coach her full time for 2 days. It's pretty intense. But usually after she does that, then a lot of those women become coaches too. They go through a training, but the life plan is part of that. So, lots of lessons. I mean, time management, resource management, networking, good communication. And I work lots of hours, a lot more hours than I ever worked as a professor. And I thought I worked a lot of hours then, but I work a lot of hours now.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Well, there's a recurring theme about, the content that you wanted to speak on, and of course, just, well, the path that you've found in life, and it's this idea of purpose. So first off, define what exactly is a purpose, and how does one come to know what theirs is?
A lot of times, students throughout my lifetime, people have always come and talked to me. Even when I was a girl, I can remember being 10 years old and people would come and sit down beside me and they would just spill out their life to me. It didn't make sense to me as a girl, but it was kind of a natural gift. Even in airports, strangers would tell me their entire life story in a short time. Just sit down. My whole family would look over at me. I remember coming home from Mexico one time. This woman had told me her whole life story, and they thought I knew her. I had just met her. So I had this natural propensity for people to talk to me and share their innermost life. And so it just evolved. It turned into the school counseling and all the training with that. And then I just knew I always had a purpose. I knew that my purpose was to help other people. I was always a helper. I was always alongside, kind of a cheerleader type person. And it's like your natural tendency a lot of times turns into a career choice too. For me, it did. Counseling, teaching, coaching. Those were my natural, propensities, even as a girl. So I think purpose means, what it means to me is that you're doing the thing that you were called to do. And it's the right thing because you have inner peace about it. And you're truly passionate about it. A lot of people say, well, let's talk about self-esteem. But I've kind of converted that over in the last 10 years to be inner peace. Because self-esteem, while very important, sometimes people don't have inner peace about what they're doing with their lives. And you're spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day at a job that you don't like. It impacts all the rest of your life. It impacts your relationships. When you come home, just your mood, your energy, everything. If you don't like what you're doing, I think you might not be doing your purpose. I always told my students, 21 years I said this, they probably got tired of it. I said, what gets you out of bed in the morning without the alarm clock? I said, I didn't even need the alarm clock to be a teacher or a school counselor. I love those kids so much. I cannot wait to see their little faces. And then even as they were older, the high school kids, the college kids, I couldn't actually wait to get to those jobs. I loved them that much. It wasn't like this grind to hit the alarm and go, oh my gosh, I have to do this again today. It was never that way. 21 years went by like this, like
Wow.
a snap of the finger. It's like, how did it go by that fast? How did I get this old? I think I'm still 26, but, I feel that way. But 21 years went by and I worked very hard. But purpose to me is what gets you out of bed. What are you really here on this earth to do? And remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
That's needs, right?
The top one, I looked at it for 20 years because I taught teachers in my academic role. And I kept looking at that one day and I finally said, oh my gosh, you cannot be self-actualized until you help somebody else be self-actualized. Meaning, it's not just about Jodi getting to the top of her career. It's about Jodi helping as many souls on this earth to get to the top of theirs. Then I'm self-actualized. It's not about me getting to the top. It's about me, because I told you I'm a natural helper, right?
Sure.
So for me, that's my purpose, is to help others. So if I just did a job where I was in a cubicle all day long and not impacting any lives, I would probably be a very miserable person.
Yeah.
It would not be a fit. So I think you've got to help people find that fit, that thing that gets them out of bed without the alarm clock, the passion, the purpose. In your experience, is yours similar to mine as far as purpose?
Yeah, no, it really is. It's using all of my abilities, growing all of my abilities to the best of its capacity and using it to help other people, figuring out the ways, using my unique skills, talents, and abilities to serve other people. And it's manifesting in the form of content creation, in speaking, in writing books, in podcasting, and interviewing, and creating and sharing messages of inspiration and value. And it's just so natural. Like, people who've known me since I was a kid, they're like, you're finally doing what you're supposed to do. And you know what? It happens almost effortlessly, the results, because it's not an uphill battle anymore. I've tried so long. Like, I thought I was supposed to be a corporate executive and work up that ladder, but it just felt so wrong, And I always reverted back, because this podcast was the first time I ever allowed myself just to do something out of pure love and not for money. And of course, it's the thing that has transformed my life.
And I think what you just said is parallel to my life, that you had those natural tendencies as a boy, a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we're pushed into a different direction that doesn't fit us.
Right.
And when I found and I did my PhD, that you've got to tie it together. You've got to tie academic, if you're going to go academic with purpose, you got to tie them together. You don't have to go to college. I realize that a lot of people find their purpose without college. That's not my, that's not my dig today. My dig would be to find that thing that you're passionate about, and you'll know. Like you said, it's effortless.
Yeah.
You can't wait to do it. I can't wait to coach women. I coach women from all over the United States now. In fact, I think I have more clients outside of Texas than I do in Texas.
Really?
It's happened that way for me.
How about
You would
that?
think that they would be in your home state, but people are finding me nationwide now. So I'll coach a woman from California, New York City, South Carolina, Arizona, New Mexico. And so I'm like, these women are all bringing in all these ideas, amazing, and I'm helping them move it forward, take it to the next level. It's really, really rewarding.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm like you. Would I still do it even without the money? I mean, yeah, I would. That's
Yeah.
how much I love it.
Right.
Yeah. They could have paid me peanuts to teach. Some people say that they did pay us peanuts to teach. But, when you really, really love it, I've always heard that the money will come.
Yeah.
And I really, really love what I do. I really love writing. I really love speaking. I really love coaching. I really love training a new coach and getting her out there to impact lives. So my role's changed a little bit into a leadership where I'm training other coaches. That's evolved over 10 years for me.
Wow, so it creates a multiplying effect
It
for
really
the
does.
results that you create in life. So I'm curious, whenever you are counseling someone who feels a little bit lost, like what's the first step that you put them on to help them find whatever purpose or passion that they should be seeking?
We use a book with the women, namely my business is women, and we use a book called Conversations on Purpose.
Okay.
And so they all get this little booklet, but it's also electronic, so I can email it to them. But we kind of go through this. This will take us about 2.5 months. This is 10 weeks together.
Of finding your purpose?
Well, it's not. It's really just kind of like what I call peeling back an onion.
Sure, yeah.
You'd be surprised, Julian, that people, they can be 50 years old and no one has asked them any of this stuff in this book. I mean, this is Katie Brazelton who trained me. This book will just get a woman thinking about herself and what's holding her back, her roles, things that she needs to let go of, what doesn't fit anymore. She's like, they'll say, no one's ever asked me these type of questions. There's a checklist, fear, mistaken thinking, motive. Why do you do what you do? So I might say, am I doing this job in order to make money, or am I doing this job in order to fulfill my purpose?
Right.
I mean, we go through a lot of stuff here. Now, the women don't have to stay with me 10 weeks. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some will be one session. They say, oh, I feel so much better, I'm ready to go. But then I have some women who'll stay with me 6 months to a year. And I really, really see a transformation.
Yeah.
Because there's no one else out there that's going to dig in here this deep with you. It's really powerful.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's a series of just introspection, really, just being honest with yourself. Because I think it's really easy, especially, in the wealthy country that we live in, there's so many expectations that you have to fulfill, whether it's your parents or society or whatnot, to fit a certain mold. Because I don't know where it comes from. Does it come from school? Does it come from the media, of this idea of success? You know what I mean? And I think a lot of us have sort of commonalities of what that's supposed to look like. But a lot of times when you're striving for that, that's not who you uniquely are. And so when people ask me, like, how do I find, success, or how do I always start with the individual, because it has to start there.
That's right.
I mean, it's not a one size fits all. Everyone has different unique gifts and talents and combinations of.
That's right. And everyone, the way I coach them might be a little bit different. Everyone comes in with a different issue, where we need to work. We do some laser coaching. It's a little bit more intense. So I might spend 30 minutes with you, and it might be on anger. Like, maybe there's a lot of people with anger issues.
Yeah.
Pride, surrender. Like, what are you not willing to surrender? Authenticity. I speak a lot on authenticity, about not wearing all these masks. Like, taking off the mask and really being your authentic self. Well, no one teaches you that. Everybody kind of puts their armor on and goes to work and kind of lives like that. Well, this is a whole different deal of really getting down to the essence of who you are and living by that, not by these outward expectations, but like you said, but from the internal to the external. Because it does start with the individual, and that's why I love it, is that I can see these women move forward with their lives, go home, and it changes their marriages, it changes their kids, it changes their parenting style, it changes their career, it changes their impact.
Yeah.
It's powerful. I can't say enough about what coaching, as coaches, we're coached as well, and how that takes you to the next level. And a lot of people don't know what life coaches are, but it's a very important work, and I'm glad that I was led to it. It's really changed my life.
Can you give us an example of sort of a before and after of a particular case study of someone who didn't have their purpose and then sort of the results that they were able to create after they found it?
Yes, I have one client. They lived on on the East Coast, and she moved her whole life to the West Coast and started her own business as a hairstylist. And she just had a lot of family of origin stuff that we talked about, and she broke free. I mean, to leave and move from one coast to the other, and she wasn't even 30 yet. She was in her 20s when she did it. She really made a huge transformation with her life and is doing so well. She was one of my success stories.
Yeah.
I told her I needed a poster over in my office
She's
so that I could show all the women how brave she was, because that was a big deal to leave it all behind over there with no role model and to move all the way over here, cross the United States, start it all by herself and make it happen. It was an amazing story, and we coached every week while she was doing a lot of it. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into some of these topics, and I think you touched on it already. So this idea of living authentically, what exactly is that, and why and how would that benefit people?
Living authentically is like, listening to your own intuition, knowing what's right for you, what's wrong for you, and following that, not being afraid of following that. I think that takes a lot of courage, self-esteem, inner peace, all the things that we can talk about in coaching, and then I can do actual workshop on that. But authenticity means you're living by your own lights. You're not following necessarily the crowd. You're finding your way, and you're going, like this one particular woman I'm talking about. A lot of us don't have role models. Some of us blaze the trail. Some of us jump out there and try to figure it out. So I think really listening to yourself and what you want to do. I think we all get these little glimmers or nudges about what we're supposed to be doing with our lives.
Yeah.
Some of us ignore it for a very long time. Some of us are scared of it. There's all different scenarios, but I think it's just living to your truth.
Yeah.
If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. You can go down the wrong road for a very long time until you turn back. Some of the women, I'll catch them way down on that wrong road, and I'll have to bring them all the way back to the V, the fork.
Yeah.
So they can get on the right road. So I'll have to bring them back to there in the coaching strategies that I use. Changing the skill set, changing the mindset, get them on the right road. When you see that happen, oh my gosh, it's wonderful. You know
what's interesting about this idea of authenticity? Authenticity is applicable to the self. It's unique to each self. There's a book that I read called Aspire by Kevin Hall. It talks about etymology, the origin of words. And one of the words that really was moving to me was this word genius. And when you think of the word genius, you think of some kind of prodigy, someone who does something so extraordinarily well. It's hard for us to comprehend how they do those things. But genius is actually a Roman word which is genuineness, and genuineness means what you naturally have. So in essence, to find your inner genius, you're not trying to change yourself. You're simply becoming more of who you already are. And I've learned whenever I capitalize on my unique strengths, my unique abilities, I can go so much further than someone who doesn't necessarily have that talent. Because I think you can pretty much improve most aspects of your life through practice and discipline and things like that. But when practice and discipline meets purpose and also talent, that's an unstoppable force.
And I think you said it best, your unique strengths. So each woman's going to come into my office with a unique strength.
Yeah.
And we're going to focus on that. But we're also going to help her let go of things that don't serve her.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can hinder a woman and get her stuck. A lot of people get stuck. So I do strategy, skill set, and questioning that helps them move through that. And it's a process that every woman, that's done an evaluation, looking back over the process with me, they say it transforms their life.
Yeah.
Because nobody's spent this kind of one-on-one time with them before. It's very intensive and it's very helpful.
And whenever you start to actually acknowledge your skills, because I have a tendency to have a self-deprecating personality. People have told me for a very long time, like, you should do voiceovers or you have a great communication ability. And I would be like, yeah, that's fine. I'm sure there's other people better. But once you start to believe in your skills, they truly become like your unique superpowers, like the X-Men, like the Avengers. Everybody has their thing.
Yeah.
But it's not out of ego or narcissism. Like, I use it to help people.
Right.
And I'm so effective in doing it.
That's exactly right. Like it's a God-given gift.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like that's what you're supposed to use to help people. And whenever I'm using it, whenever I experience flow, and things,
right.
I feel like I tap it truly into kind of like an inner genius that I have. Trust me, I know the things that I'm bad at. I'm bad at numbers, programming, directions, anything that requires that technical aspect of my brain. But being able to communicate and articulate my ideas has always come natural to me. So.
And compassion has been natural for me, like a deep compassion.
Yeah.
I've always, people call me, feelers on steroids. Like I feel things 10, 20 fold of what some other people feel.
Yeah.
Like I read people quickly and compassionate for what they're going through, but also don't like to see them stay stuck. So I'll do whatever I can as the coach to move them through it. But I'm truly compassionate to pain and loss and anything, grief. We go through a whole grief map of what anything can be grief. It doesn't have to be death.
Yeah.
You can have lost a job and you can be grieving.
Grieving, right.
Right? So there's a whole grief map, and these women are like, oh my gosh, I checked the whole list. They're in grieving process. So, there's a lot of things that can tie you up, bound you up. To me, this helps unwind a woman and help her get back on her path.
Yeah.
And that's what we need sometimes. We need a cheerleader. We need a little help on the side. There's nothing wrong with it, I don't know if there's a stigma towards coaching. Like you need help, A lot of people, what's a life coach, that kind of concept. But once you explain it to them, they get it. Yeah. They're like, oh my gosh, this takes my life to a whole other level.
Yeah. Have you found any, like, testing, whether Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinder, to be useful in helping people discover who they are?
Myers-Briggs, we use it a lot, with the career stuff. So for me, I've been doing a lot of personal coaching, but yes, Myers-Briggs is the one I kind of go to as far as career.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So this idea of simple abundance, what does that mean?
Okay, simple abundance. I was trained in Florida 10 years ago by Sarah Ben Brethanock. She wrote that book in the 90s, I believe it was early 90s. And it's a spiritual book. It's about gratitude, being thankful every day, finding 5 things per day that you can be thankful for. Like, it's a beautiful day outside. I'm healthy. Things are going my way. I'm on a podcast today with Julian. It's a gratitude. It starts with gratitude, and it leads the women through 6 principles: gratitude, simplicity, like keeping life simple. And then order, keeping your home and your office and everything in order. It just kind of builds. And then it's beauty, harmony, and joy. So I've been teaching this retreat for almost 10 years. I was trained 10 years ago. And it's kind of pulls it all together for women. It kind of helps them balance their life. It's for personal or professional development. So it helps women in their career. It also helps them at home. They absolutely love that retreat that I do. They feel like, oh, I feel peaceful. Oh, I feel like I've let go of some things, So all the work I do is trying to help women balance their lives.
Yeah. Well, what can women expect to go on some of these retreats? Is it sort of a lecture? Is it activity based? Like, walk us through what that looks like.
Well, it's like a half day little retreat, like 9 to 1. And then they'll have a meal, of course, and some networking. But it's a lot of, there's some application in it. And I'll cover the first 3: gratitude, simplicity, and order in the first 9 to 1, and then I'll do part 2. But we'll talk about it. We'll have I even play some music, because music can, stimulate emotion. And we'll do some writing prompts. And then we talk about it. And then when another woman talks about what she's dealing with, all the other women kind of stare at her and go, oh my gosh, she's going through the same thing I am. Because a lot of women feel isolated, like it's only happening to me.
Right.
I'm the only one stressed out, but actually there's a whole bunch of us out here that get stressed out and, imbalance, as far as, a commute. There's a lot of women I know who are single moms with a commute for 2 hours in the morning with toddlers at home.
Yikes.
And then 2 hours at night. So they're not getting home. They have just a couple hours with their kids. That's stress, high stress. So this retreat is kind of to bring a woman back into balance.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun to do. I enjoy teaching it, and the women enjoy learning it.
Gotcha. So the simple abundance, give us one kind of actionable thing to sort of achieve a level of simple abundance.
I think you've got to get organized in your life. You've got to get organized at home. I really, my friends will laugh when I say this out loud, but I actually help women get rid of clutter in their homes. So it's actually helping to get clutter.
Like physical clutter.
Physical clutter can also carry negative energy. So I try to help them get rid of excess. Like if you don't need it, use it, or love it. And think about that. Do I need it? Do I use it? Do I love it? So this could be a lamp in the house. You've had it for 20 years. Okay, but it doesn't match anything, right? It's old colors. It doesn't even match. So do I need it? Do I love it? Do I use it? No, maybe we need to get rid of it. Maybe it's not even part of it anymore. But it could be anything in the house, though.
Yeah.
But what it's actually doing is a parallel over here with everything else in your life. So I'm making them doing it in the house, but I'm making them do it in themselves. Do I need it? Do I use it? Do I love it?
Yeah.
So, see, everything you do with Simple Abundance has a spiritual parallel that they can apply in their lives. They don't sometimes know that's what I'm doing, but by the end they do.
Yeah.
So I'll make them do application, but then it's also coming back into alignment, authenticity. It all pulls back into making decisions that keep you on your true path.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to be buying things that we don't need, use, or love. We don't need to be letting people into our lives that aren't good for us. I mean, they're always parallels. That's why I love it. It's kind of subtle when you start, and then all of a sudden they start looking around the room and they go, oh my gosh, this is about me. This isn't about my house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really, really powerful stuff too.
Yeah, no, I believe in the structure of physical presence that helps you mentally, spiritually, and all that. Like, I mean, for me, I know it's just such a small thing, and my wife is like, "Why do you do this?" It's like, as soon as I get out of bed, I have to make it. Just seeing the comfort is just it really affects me. And what's interesting is that this exercise that you mentioned, I've done this several times. It's like I sort of grow attachments to physical things, even though I don't need it, because there's always that. Well, what if that one crazy time I'm actually going to need it? And you don't. I mean, most of the things that you have, you don't need. And just that one exercise of removing physical things that don't serve you, that's big.
It is. And then it's then we move into wants and needs, what are really wants and what are really needs. And some people get those really, really confused. But, you see that some people, everyone lives a little bit differently, and I think Simple Abundance just helps you keep it simple, but it's also abundant. Yep. It's not that you're restricted in anything. It's just that you have more inner peace about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and you're not doing it out of low self-esteem or something. You're doing it out of a powerful place. Yep. You're making a good choice. Coaching is all about self-empowerment. So any program that I'm going to teach on is all going to be about empowerment for anybody.
Yeah. I think the gratitude piece also, I think when I first started, venturing out into entrepreneurship, I would hear a lot of entrepreneurs say, you go through a gratitude exercise. And that was a little foo-foo for me before, right? But then I started doing it, like the smallest things, and not just superficially just stating something, but really being grateful for something, being grateful for your health, being grateful for your relationships, for these things. The fact that I can produce an internet radio station out of the comfort of my own studio, you know what I mean? It's just so many things. And when you're in that space, like for me at least, I feel stronger. I feel more powerful just because of the gratitude that I experience, and that's real. So.
And Sarah Ben Bresnog was always about gratitude. She was always about being thankful. And so we do a little journal activity with the ladies, and I give everybody get a journal, and every night before they go to bed, 5 things that you're grateful for today.
Yeah.
And it becomes a habit of instead of living in lack, you're living in abundance because you're grateful for everything that you have. So it multiplies.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's really amazing. I love to do the retreats. I typically do those in the summertime, and I like to teach it outside on a beautiful day. One time I taught it by a river in New Mexico for about 50 to 100 women.
Oh, wow. These are big retreats.
Well, some of them are. Some of them are more, depending on if I want to do like group coaching, it'll be a smaller group.
Okay, gotcha.
Because, I want to, I need the group size to stay small and something like that. But yeah, some of the retreats can get larger.
Wow.
Depending on the space. But when it's outside and it's like renewal and recharge for women. That's really what it is. But we did have a few men come to that one in New Mexico, and they really responded to it. They really liked it.
Wow. Well, the last point that you wanted to discuss is managing through life transitions, because if anything, especially with this day and age of technology, and we are constantly changing. So give us some thoughts on adjusting through changes in life.
So, sometimes change happens to us when we don't want it to. Like for me, when I was in my 20s, a lot of people died. I know that's a sad little story, but I had to learn how to adjust to death, I guess you could say. I saw a lot of young people dying, and I think it propelled me to, instead of that, remember how in college a lot of people would say, what's your 5-year plan?
Right.
I think when I saw a lot of people leaving the earth, let's say, in a young age, I saw a lot of my friends die young. I thought, oh my gosh, you can't have a 5-year plan. You need to be embracing today.
Right.
So that was change without choice. Like that type of change came into my life without choice. And then I have change that I say, okay, I'm ready to become a life coach, right? I got to choose that. No one forced me into that. And then circumstantial choice, different circumstance changes. So I have to do it. So I lead a women through about a 1-hour workshop on this, about kind of the stages of going through a change and how to process that and get through it. Because a lot of them, aren't easy changes. There's a lot of things that happen to us in this lifetime. It happened to me young, 20s, that I dealt with a lot of that kind of heavy grief to propel me out of it, to show me that I couldn't be on a 5-year plan. I needed to be on a gratitude daily plan.
Right.
Like seize the day. That became my new motto, seize the day, because you don't know how long you have. So you need to be making an impact every day.
Every day.
Right? And you know how you hear people say, oh, once I retire, then I'll do blank.
Something.
So what do you think about that? I want to see what your view on that is. If I wait until I'm retired to do this, then what? What if I don't make it to that? I saw 2 of my family members die the year that they were going to retire. So to me, I think you have to be seizing the day every day, building it every day, and not waiting. I know a lot of us, we have our plan out there, but we don't know exactly. We don't know what's going to happen next month, 3 months, 6 months. We don't know. So I'm always trying to keep people in the moment.
Right.
And converting, that's all about change too. I always say, don't worry about 3 months from now. Let's get through today. And then tomorrow, let's get up and let's get through tomorrow. There's always plenty enough to do in one day to manage. And it's not to say that you don't have goals set out there, 3 months, 6 month, 12-month plan, a plan. But it might not fit just exactly right. You've got to be flexible.
Right.
So a lot of women, that helps them to talk to them about that flexibility piece, that you have an idea, but you may have to modify it a little bit. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, as far as the, you hear that all the time. When I retire, I'll go travel. When I do this and that. And I think even, boiling that down to sort of more of a micro level, I think there's a lot of people that say, when I get this job, I'll feel happy. Or when I make this certain amount of money, I'll feel happy. That's an illusion. I mean, it's good to have those kinds of goals, but that's why I think identifying and living your purpose every day makes sense, because you don't need that identifier. You don't need that metric or result, because you're already doing it today. Like for me, speaking with you on the podcast, I'm living that right now. Creating this content, I'm living that right now. When I'm writing my book, I'm living that purpose right now, So, and that's why I think there's just huge benefits to living authentically, living on purpose, and doing work that you love. I mean, it's really just transformed my life, and everyone who's been following my journey has seen it. So it's not just foo-foo. It creates results. It allows you to impact and serve more people.
It does. and your impact's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So the more people that are living their purpose, the ripple effect goes out and out and out, you know. The more coaches I can train, they're going to impact so many lives, you know. So I'm evolving as well, just like you are, into more of a leadership role of helping new coaches impact and start their own businesses. You know, I didn't know I would be in that role, but it's happened. And so now I'm sitting over here going, okay, here's how you start your coaching business. You know, I'm kind of tweaking it and helping them off of what I just did. So that's a really fun new part of my job as well.
That's awesome. What else, you know, before we kind of plug, you know, how to connect with you on social and more about your book and such, what else do you think we should talk about in this topic that might serve our audience?
Well, I think that you should maybe just consider hiring a coach if you need to, you know, to sort through some things and you want some good strategies and a new skill set. And I call it looping, kind of circling. Some people get stuck in a thought process. You know, back in my psychology days, I used to say that we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. And guess what they said about how many of them are negative?
The majority of them?
90%.
90%?
So think about what I'm working up against as a coach. So if a woman comes in with a negative mindset and she's looped around like that for many, many years, no one's ever, you know, talked to her about that. But I bring in a new thought process, let's say gratitude.
Yeah.
You know, I can bring in a lot of different things with the skill set. And then she starts a whole new circle. And when you start that whole new thought process, that can transform her whole life.
Yeah.
I've always been taught from my spiritual gurus and my you know, mentors, if you will. They say you can't really afford one negative thought because one negative thought is going to take you down a path you don't want to go.
Right.
And negativity is never going to give you a positive life.
Right.
Right?
That's true. I've never, likeness begets likeness in that regard. Yeah, totally.
So I try to really work on this abundance versus lack. We live in abundance. I mean, we're choosing it. Like you and I both can walk outside today and say, look, Julian, it's beautiful out there. And you go, but it's so windy today.
Yeah.
It's the exact same day. You just filtered it through your filter and I just filtered it through mine.
Exactly.
Right? So if I can impact a woman's thought process that has gotten in a negative loop cycle, we can make change. She can go out to that day and go, it's pretty out here, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for everything I have in this moment. Instead of that someday mentality. Someday I'll be happy. Someday I'll do that. You know, I think I had to learn at a young age to seize the day.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you just never know how much time you have on the earth. None of us do. And I saw that happen young. So I was like, I got to figure this out, you know, about being happy day to day and not waiting for someday.
Right.
So I've kind of implemented that into my business as well.
Love it. Love it. Well, Dr. Jodi Walker, how do our listeners work with you one-on-one? How do they learn more about your treats? How do they connect with you on social, buy your book? Tell us all that.
Okay, so I would like to tell you about the book real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually grew up in a small town up in the panhandle of Texas. I just launched this book in January this year, and it's called Small Town Girl, Stories of Success and Inspiration. My vision with it was from when I was a girl to gather these women to talk about how this small town helped them become successful. So it finally got launched after many years of thinking about it, and the right combination of women came together. So Small Town Girl is on Amazon now.
Okay.
They can order it there if they'd like to. As far as connecting with me on Facebook, it's Coaching Cafe, and it's at Coaching Cafe today.
Okay.
And then my website is mylifecoachoncall.net. So, and my email is jodywalker@hotmail.com. And with coaching, I have a team of coaches, and what we do is I'll give you a free intake session. It's usually 15 or 20 minutes. So you come to me and you tell me kind of what you're looking for. And then I can place you with a coach, one of my coaching team that, you know, specializes kind of in those particular topics that you want to talk about.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome.
So.
Well, Dr. Jodi Walker, this has been a true pleasure. I really appreciate this conversation. I know it's going to help a lot of our listeners. So everyone, please connect with Dr. Jodi Walker, purchase her book, reach out to her, connect with her. She's a great individual, and I'm sure, and I'm excited to see all the other amazing things you bring into this world.
Thank you so much, Julia. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for this conversation. And everyone else, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Pathways to Success podcast. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next week on the next episode of the Pathways to Success.